everybody, I am making a video because I got hands on the Pixel 6 Pro. Thank you so much to #TeamPixel for providing me with this Pixel 6 Pro for content creation purposes and personal use. #gift from Google, all the disclosure out of the beginning. I have had this device for about 2 weeks now, and a lot of you have been asking questions about it, so I thought I would make this fun video so that I could answer your questions in video format. All right, let's start with the outside of the device. Now, I have a case on it now, but I'm gonna go ahead and take this case off. Let me go ahead and... Someday I'll have She-Hulk strength, it's just not today. This is a 6.7-inch screen. Now, if you don't like large phones, the Pixel 6 Pro, honestly, might not be for you. Now, the Pixel 6 Pro comes in cloudy white, stormy black, or sort of sunny, but cloudy white is what I have here, and I do like the two-tone design. I think it's really nice. The material for this on both the back and the front is Gorilla Glass. So Gorilla Glass Victus glass on the back with curved edges. And again, here we have curved edges on both the front and the back, meeting up with the 100% recycled aluminum frame. Now, the curved edges and the glass combo can be very slippery. I know a lot of people are asking if I'm accidentally dropping it, and I do that all the time. It can also, with the curved edges, cause accidental palm typing. Now, I will say both the accidental slippage and the accidental palm typing, which I mean when your hand accidentally hits the corner of the screen. That happens to me a lot. I don't know if it's because I'm someone that has tiny hands or if that happens to everyone, but it's something that I experienced, so I wanted to let you know about it. Both those things can be solved by putting a case on your phone. This is a phone that, even though I'm not normally a case person, curved edges and slippery glass, please put a case on your phone. The Pixel 6 Pro is IP68 water resistant, which is the best IP rating that I've seen out there for phones, meaning that this can go in 1 meter of water for up to 30 minutes. I will say, if you're someone who likes to hang out at the beach with your phone, salt water is differently rated, so significantly less time and significantly less depth if you are looking at accidentally dropping this in salt water. Either way, I don't really recommend it, but just to let you know. Now, this does have the camera bar on the back, which sticks up approximately 3 millimeters. But what I like about this is a lot of the camera bumps that you'll see on the back of phones right now are just on one side, meaning that when you hold the phone in your hand, it's weighted a little bit off center. Because this camera bar covers the whole back, it's not off center when you hold it in your hand, which is kind of nice. Also, I would say when the case is on it, I know a lot of people were worried about how much that camera bar sticks up as far as how it feels in your pocket, in your hand. When the case is on it, I mean, it's not totally flush, but it's not bad either. It does not worry me, and what I would say is if you're worried about it, again, here I'm going to recommend getting some kind of case for the Pixel 6 Pro. So that's the outside of the device. Let's talk about its innards. We're getting nice and personal with the Pixel 6 Pro now. So this can come in a 128 gigabyte, 256 gigabyte, or 512 gigabyte storage. There is no micro SD slot for expandable storage. Womp womp, but honestly, hardly any flagship Androids are doing that anymore. Bring it back. I will die on that hill. Thank you. Now, the display on this is a 3120 by 1440p resolution screen. It's super, super bright with vibrant colors. You're getting a close look at all the different apps and everything I have on my phone, but it's a super nice, responsive, very vibrant display. It's got adaptive refresh rate that will go between 10 hertz all the way up to 120 hertz. So say when the phone is idle, like it is now, versus when you're gaming. Now, the biggest thing on the inside of the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro is that new Tensor chip. This is a new processor made by Google with the goal of out-AIing, I just made that up, but I stand by it, out-AIing really everything else out there. But it also runs games and video streaming as well as you would expect from any flagship out there now. In my real world testing, I mean, I'm not running it through benchmarks, but the goal of this new chip was not to out-benchmark everybody else, it was to out-machine learn and AI everybody else. So things like voice-to-text dictation are all local now on the phone, making them way faster. And the same goes with translating foreign languages in media and messages. Give it an example. I'm gonna go ahead in a text right here and say, "Hey everybody, I'm testing out voice dictation." I mean, That worked pretty fast, didn't it? So pretty good. And I know people were asking me how the voice to text works if you're in areas of low signal, etc. But now that it's all done locally, thanks to that tensor chip, shouldn't be a problem. When it comes to the phone app and using it as a traditional phone, filtering spam and having a robot assistant answer unknown calls or wait on hold for you, possibly one of the best things I've ever experienced. Now, that is not exclusive to the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro. We've seen some of this before. However, I stand by it being one of my favorite features and one of the reasons I recommend the Pixel in general to so many people. The Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro can wait on hold for you. They can help with automated phone tree systems by transcribing the voice options to text on screen for you. So, you know, instead of listening to press 1 for X, press 2 for Y, and you have like, you know, 7 or 8 different options to choose from, and by the time you get to the end, you've forgotten what the first couple were. Now they will all be transcribed on your phone if you choose to enable that feature. It is super, super cool. In my experience testing it out so far, I've only been on hold with a couple companies since I've had this baby for 2 weeks. It's a little bit hit or miss, but I love the idea that Google's working on this tech, and I hope that it comes a little bit farther. When it comes to important things that you might need, like say if your phone knows that you are traveling today and you need maybe your boarding pass or something like that, it will pop that up on the lock screen, so you don't even have to unlock your phone. It will just show it to me right there. I'm going to be traveling in a few weeks with this, and I'm very excited to check out that feature, which will be cool. Also fun and new on the Pixel 6 Pro, certain voice commands no longer need you to say, "Hey Google" first. So for example, you are waking up to an alarm, which was me very early this morning. You can simply say snooze without saying, "Hey Google" first. So there's a lot of things like that that will help you. Look, it's transcribing right now while I'm talking because I said the magic words, "Hey Google," and that's what happens when you are using a Pixel. But that is a nice feature to have. Now, of course, all of these settings are customizable if you want the phone listening all the time or not, and that is up to you and how you like to use your voice assistants on your phone. The battery size in the Pixel 6 Pro is a 5,003 milliamp battery. I have gotten a full day of use out of it, no problem. They also have an extreme battery saver mode that claims 48 hours of use. I haven't needed to try it yet, but I am looking forward to using it, say, when I go to a CES or some type of convention where my phone is constantly looking for signal and drains the battery very fast. It will be very useful to have that if, say, I need to catch an Uber home or something like that and I need that last little bit of juice. Now, you will see all different battery benchmarks all over the internet, and like I said, while I have not like officially benchmarked it to see how long it takes to drain while it's streaming video or something like that, real world use, I have not had a problem having it last all day, and I consider myself a pretty heavy phone user. The Pixel 6 Pro also has Qi wireless charging. Be still my beating heart. I love Qi wireless charging. Big fan. I have charging pads all over my house, including on my nightstand, so when I go to bed at night, I can just set it on there. Also, this will fast charge 50% in 30 minutes. So that's pretty much everything you need to know about the battery and a lot of the stuff that is found within this phone. Now, when it comes to new features, the Pixel 6 Pro ships with Android 12, which has tons of colorful customization. There's some really fun stuff you can do on this as far as choosing what wallpaper you'd like and then having your icons and clock and so forth customized to the colors. So you can see here the color of the numbers of my clock is actually pulled from this cute school picture of my son from 2 years ago. First, it pulled out a yellow color that I wasn't such a fan of, but it gave me a few options to choose from so that I could make it all fit. Now, if I wanted to, I could also customize some of my Google app icons like photos, maps, etc. to go along with this color scheme and design. This really only applies to Google apps at the moment. I turned it on for a little bit, chose not to keep it, pure personal aesthetic reasons, but I love that you are able to really do that. I have a good friend of mine who's a tech reviewer, is obsessed with Dragon Ball Z. He put a Dragon Ball Z wallpaper on there, and now his whole phone matches the Dragon Ball Z wallpaper. It's just really fun. So that kind of colorful customization when it comes to the wallpaper and the icon matching is exclusive to the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro for now. We'll see what happens in the future there. There's also so much customization right now in the quick settings panel. When you first swipe down, you'll get the first 4, and then if you swipe down more than that, you'll get more. You're able to kind of swipe through those as you see fit, and then you can edit even beyond that if I wanted even more. I mean, look at all the different options I could have here, and of course you can edit what works for you. For me, one of the ones that I really like having in my swipe down is the control smart home devices. So I'm gonna take it out of edit, go back here, and you'll see device controls, and it automatically will pop up some of my smart home features, my downstairs thermostat, my master bedroom lights. I don't wanna get out of bed to turn off my lights. Once I'm in bed and I'm all cozy and stuff, I can just do it from my phone, and now it's on my quick settings menu, which is great. I love just kind of this idea of taking tech we already have that's out there and using it in useful ways. A great example of that right now is using face detection together with auto rotate. It's so simple. We've had this technology for a while. Why haven't we done this yet? So what this is, and why I'm so excited about it, is if I go into my Android settings here, auto rotate, so yes, use auto rotate, yes please, but also enable face detection. Turn that on. So what that means is if you're someone like me who looks at your phone in bed a lot, lying down, I'm a side sleeper, and I look at my phone like this, but I don't want it to rotate when I'm doing this. This will use face detection to see what position your face is in and keep the screen in the same orientation as your face. All right, now I have a feature that is only on Pixels 4a or higher, and this is a little quick tap feature. Boop, boop. So if you double tap the back, you can do something. You can set it to, say, take a screenshot, open up your Google Assistant. You can set it to pause media if you listen to media a lot, check your notifications, etc., etc. This is in the gestures portion of the settings menu. There's a lot of different customization you can do there within that. It is in system, then you'll go to gestures, and you can set quick tap. Mine is currently set to screenshot because I use that all the time. But you can see lots of different features here, like flip camera for selfie is really great, and this one is one of my favorites, flip to shh. So when your phone is making noise or ringing, maybe when you're in a meeting and you didn't realize you left it on, you can just flip your phone over and it's quiet. Another focus of the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro that I don't think people are talking about as much is security. So when it comes to locking the phone, there is an under-display fingerprint sensor now, and I'll be honest, it's taken me a bit of time to get used to. I'm used to the fingerprint on the back from the Pixel 5, but now it is right here on the front of the device. Now, I only have this thumb programmed to work with it, but there we go, and it opens up for you pretty quickly. It's pretty nice, and it does not impact the display at all, or the look of the display from the front, to have that under display fingerprint sensor. I know some people were asking about that as well. Now, some people might be bummed about the fact that there is no face sensor, but for me, I kind of actually like that. I'm someone who wears glasses. A lot of us are still wearing masks when we're out and about, and there are also security concerns about people holding a phone up to your face while your eyes are shut, aka sleeping. Don't live with someone or let someone around while you're sleeping, but it's a concern nonetheless. So I actually don't mind that there's no face recognition. That's never really worked awesome for me on any device anyway, so fingerprint sensor is all good there. There are new security features built in now, like a camera and mic kill switch, very easily put right into your quick settings, and a little notification in the top corner here when something's in use. For example, look, oh, Trisha, your camera's in use. I know, because I just opened the camera. But if I was in Instagram or something like that, it might be nice to know that that has popped up, so you have that. And then again, here in quick settings, if you want to just turn off your microphone or camera, you can add those as well, mic access, camera access, and those can just be little toggles for you if you're someone who is more privacy-minded. Speaking of privacy-minded, there is a privacy dashboard that will let you see at a glance all the different apps that are accessing all your different data. So you can see in the past 24 hours, 7 apps have accessed my location, and if I tap that, it'll tell me exactly which apps. My camera's been used by 4 apps, my microphone has been used by 3 apps, and if I want to know more than just location, camera, and microphone, I can hit a button and it will give me all different other types of data. So calendar, call logs, contacts, files and media, nearby devices, etc. And I can really fine tune which apps that have that access to my data. The Pixel 6 Pro has a dedicated Titan M2 coprocessor, which essentially sandboxes your personal information that's used by that machine learning and AI. So things like Smart Reply, or live transcription, for example, it will store all that data and how you use the phone locally rather than sending it to the cloud. Now, the goal here is to have added security on the phone so that while the Pixel 6 Pro and Pixel 6 are not unhackable, it's harder to hack than other phones out there. So there's definitely still a cybersecurity threat. There's always going to be cybersecurity threat, but the idea is that it will be more of a challenge for hackers or people with malintent to access your data. Google has come out and said right away with the announcement of these phones, promised security updates for 5 years. There's a lot of phones that even when their security updates stop rolling out for their models, they might still run just fine, but they're going to get more and more susceptible to hacking as time goes without those security updates. So you know with these phones, we've been promised ahead of time, which is cool, at least 5 years of those security updates. Now, the Pixel 6 Pro camera. Everyone asks about the camera. So here you are looking at, on the back, we are looking at a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, a 48 megapixel telephoto with 4x optical zoom, and a main cam that has a 50 megapixel sensor that produces 12.5 megapixel images behind an optically stabilized 1.85 f-stop lens with a very large 1.3 inch sensor, so it should take in more light than prior Pixel cameras. When it comes to the front-facing camera, it is an 8 megapixel main with an 84 degree field of view and an 11 megapixel wide with a 94 field of view. Now, I really like the wide, the selfie wide, and I use a lot of the front-facing camera in my content creation. It's a way for me to line up my shot, to know where I fall within the frame when I'm doing content creation on the go. So having that ultra wide is very important to me. Also, if I'm holding out my hand via the claw to take a family photo, it's hard to get my tiny human and my whole family in a picture. I appreciate the wide on the selfie, so thank you for that. When it comes to the pictures that you'll see on these devices, they still have that pixel look. Cooler white balance, higher contrast, they're very sharp. Now you can adjust white balance before even taking the picture, which is cool. You couldn't really do that before. If you tap the screen, you'll see here you have a temperature control to control your white balance right here on the fly. You also have your brightness controls here and then highlights and shadows as well. So you have a couple different options, and this is all within the main camera. I know I've heard a lot of people say, there's no pro camera mode, but they're doing their best to kind of incorporate that into the main camera that you have now. In the Pixel cameras, you might be familiar if you're a Pixel person. If you're not a Pixel person, this might be new to you. A feature like night sight, and what that does is it takes photos at night so that you don't need a flash. It really draws a lot more detail out of that photo. I really do like night sight for things that are still, but I will say it takes a while to process while it's taking that photo. So often things can get blurry if the subject moves at all. The Tensor chip that's in here enables some really cool software trickery in the camera as well that used to require third-party apps and other software and a little bit of elbow grease. I mean, I have an entire thing, a whole section of photo editing apps and software that I would normally use on my phone that now are just built into the Pixel camera, which is very cool. Things like Magic Eraser. Now, Magic Eraser is awesome in a pinch. It's not going to be the same precision you would get from hand editing in Photoshop, but it is great to have. And what that essentially does is it takes any photo, and not just photos you've taken on the camera, but old photos as well, again, because this is a software trick. But say I wanted to, I'll just go here to edit. This is a photo I took of myself this morning. Magic Eraser takes something out of the background of this photo. Now, it suggested these people because it thinks that these people on this box are photo bombing me. But let's just say you can either use their suggestion and erase all from what the AI has determined you might want to erase, or you can draw yourself on the screen and say, I want to delete those boxes right there. and it takes them right out of the photo and uses artificial intelligence to fill in what it believes the background would be. Now, this is best used in wide open spaces like the beach or something like that. And again, it's not going to give you the same precision you would get from hand editing bit by bit in Photoshop or hiring a professional editor, but it is cool to have on the fly. There's also, built within the camera now, some really cool motion modes, both action pan and long exposure. So long exposure, as you can see here, adds a blur to moving subjects in the scene, which is very cool. Action pan focuses on a moving subject and adds a creative blur to the background. Now, these are camera tricks that prior to this would have required a tripod and lots of high-end photography gear, but now you can do them with your phone. Other additions to the camera in the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro are real tone, which have been tweaks to more accurately capture a wider variety of skin tones. Now, this is something that has been an issue in both photography and videography for a while, that there's been a little bit of an imbalance there, so seeing Google address this is something that I really like to see. When it comes to video on the Pixel 6 Pro, you can record 4K 60 frames per second as long as you want. The image stabilization on it is a little bit hit or miss still. You'll see artifacts and some like wonkiness every now and then. For some folks, there's a bit of a red or orange look sometimes to the video, and I will put up some samples of video I have taken so that you can make a determination for yourself.
Oh, hey there. It is extraordinarily bright out, but I am testing volume and image stabilization here right now with the Pixel 6 Pro. There it is. Dun, dun, dun. Now I'm gonna walk sloppy, and now I'm in shade so you can see how it adjusts on the fly.
That's the outside, the inside, some of the new features. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Have I encountered any hiccups with this phone? My biggest hiccup right now is that I really would like a watch to go with it. The Galaxy Watch 4 is the latest Wear OS watch, but you need a Samsung device and or a whole bunch of Samsung apps to make full use of the watch's features. It would be really nice for Google to come forward and say, hey, we made Android 12. We made this beautiful hardware, Pixel 6 Pro. Let's give everybody a smartwatch to go with it that works inherently with native stripped-down Android. I would love that. Also, the fingerprint sensor on the front is still a little wonky for me. I am getting used to it. I do think this is more a matter of personal preference. I'm so used to just putting my finger on the back, and I have tiny hands, so getting my thumb or first finger all the way over there is a little tricky, but muscle memory, you know how it is. Also, when you press your thumb or finger on the fingerprint sensor, it's very bright. It doesn't seem it right now because there's bright lights and the sun shines out, but when it's like 3 a.m. and you're trying to sneak a look at your phone without waking anybody else up, it's like blinding light, so that's something to think about as well. Your questions answered. I put out on Instagram and Twitter that I was getting this phone early and asked you what questions you had, and this is what you had to say. Ross Cutler on Instagram said, please compare it to the S21 Ultra. It has a more user-friendly interface in my opinion, but you lose out on that 10 times optical zoom camera, or the option for more RAM. Please compare it to the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max. For me, the OS choice is the main factor here, and the price would be the second choice. It's $100 cheaper than the base, $200 cheaper than the same sized Pro Max. Please compare it to the Pixel 6. So when it comes to the Pixel 6 Pro versus the Pixel 6, you're still gonna get that Tensor processor and Android 12 for $300 less, but with a smaller 6.4-inch lower res display, a smaller battery, and 8 gigabytes of RAM instead of 12, plus you lose the 4x telephoto lens. From HWall5 on Instagram, in the messaging app, can you still archive texts? Yes, you can. On Instagram from ArthurC79, what do you think of the size? Too big or perfect? I like a big phone, not a problem for me. From Scott Pledger on Instagram, how is the voice recognition in poor network situations? Well, thanks to the Tensor chip, it's all done locally now, so just fine. On Twitter, @DCBoy76 says, how quick is the camera to open and use? Now, you can set custom gestures to open this easily, either with a double tap on the back, double power button, etc. You do what works for you. On Twitter, @FireWhispers asked, dark action shots, how are they? Night sight is great for still shots, but in my experience, not so awesome if your subject is moving. So if you're photographing a concert or something like that, I would turn night sight off. And on Twitter, at 80bitpodsmash says, voice text with proper nouns? Let's try it. Hi, my name's Trisha and I'm in Los Angeles. It did it. It did it perfectly. So now, I feel like I've told you everything that I have encountered with this phone in the past 2 weeks. Let's talk pricing and availability. The 128 gigabyte model is $899 here in the US, and the 256 gigabyte is $100 more. I'll be honest, at least in my searching, it is hard to find any availability right now. They are very in demand. Again, thanks to Google and the hashtag Team Pixel team for allowing me to get hands-on with this baby at launch. I have been using it as my daily driver ever since I got it, and I, as a Team Android person, I'm really happy with it so far. So there've been some hiccups, and if there's any questions that you guys have that I did not answer in this video, please feel free to put them in the comments, and I will do my best to get to them. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye!